Good morning. Call to order this August 12th CFPUA Authority Board meeting. Looks like we have all members present today. We'll start off, we'll ask Mr. Norris to come forward for a resolution. Mr. Smith, sorry. Sorry.
Wrong bill.
I just got back. Yeah. Mr. Smith, I know, yeah, apparently. Is it Wednesday?
It is.
All right, this resolution recognizing Mr. Smith, whereas the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority is a body politic organized in 2007 by the City of Wilmington and New Hanover County to operate the water and sewer utilities. And whereas William R. Smith was appointed by New Hanover County to serve as a CFPUA board member on June 19th, 2023. And whereas Mr. Smith served continuously as a CFPUA member through June 2026. And whereas Mr. Smith has a long history of volunteering in support of the communities where he has lived. And whereas Mr. Smith spent his career as a professional engineer with an emphasis on water and sewer utility planning, rehabilitation, and project management. And whereas Mr. Smith brought his experience to CFPUA serving on finance, sustainability, and long-range planning committees. And whereas Mr. Smith served as CFPUA treasurer and chairman of CFPUA's finance committee for fiscal year 2026, an office in which he demonstrated his deep knowledge of utility operations and financial planning, in contract review and the development of CFPUA's operating and capital budgets. And whereas Mr. Smith's guidance as treasurer was instrumental in developing projects for the future of the region's water and sewer infrastructure, most importantly, the construction contracts for the rehabilitation of the Southside Water Reclamation Facility. And whereas Mr. Smith has consistently recognized and supported CFPUA's employees for their dedication and professionalism. Now, therefore, the CFPUA board and staff do formally recognize and thank Mr. Smith for his service as a member of the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority, adopted this 12th day of August 2026. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Even if you are a Virginia Tech grad.
Well, I got my hokey tie on.
I noticed that.
Well, I was wondering whether I should come today or not, but I'm glad I did, and I appreciate this kind words. As most of you know, I'm not departing the board voluntarily, but I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm just going to say what a pleasure it has been to serve on this board. And something that I've said many times over the last 3 years is, as over 50 years in the consulting business, particularly in utility work, and working with utility authorities, districts, and public utility departments within counties and cities. This has got to be, if not the best, one of the best staffs I've ever seen. And I mean it from the top to the bottom. And it's been a pleasure to work with everyone, particularly the engineering staff here, since I am one. And the finance group over here, which are outstanding. The IT group, which, my Lord, I don't think there's a better IT group anywhere. And the project management group here, it's just wonderful. Now this board there are no seat warmers here. you all have something special to contribute and have contributed to this board to make it a very cohesive group to support the activities of this thing, this authority. And I hope you will continue to do so and to make the right decisions to support the staff, to support the people that this authority serves, and make those right decisions without political influence. Thank you again, and I appreciate this.
Mr. Chair,
I recognize this as a point of personal privilege. Mr. Smith, I hope you're not going to scoot out to a quick agenda back. I just wanted to take a quick moment of personal privilege to thank you. First of all, I've been here, I think, around 6 years, and in the last 3 years, at the beginning, I was worried, because as a Hokie, as a Wahoo, the Virginia Tech rivalry is real. 100 years of football rivalry, and I was nervous. And as usual, UVA got a walloping the first 2 years. I think you were here last year. We were able to unembarrass ourselves. They play every Thanksgiving at the Commonwealth Cup. It's a big deal. I think y'all are in a rebuilding mode right now, and we're settled to do so. I just want to say, fortunately, that all worked out. Honestly, the 3 years I was here before you and the 3 years after were very different. Your ability to use your expertise, your decades of knowledge to sort of cross the T's and dot the I's for contracts and technical documents that are not in my wheelhouse. I've appreciated that so much. I've had so much more confidence voting. There was not really a board meeting that went by when we didn't hear, even from sometimes the consent agenda. Can we turn to page 37, because I want, and your ability to see around corners and your ability to explain complex things and make sure that we know exactly what we're doing to translate a lot of the engineering, amazing engineering, as you said, work that comes our way. I just want you to know that it's been so appreciated and you will be missed. And go Wahoos.
May I say something? You can't leave yet. You still can't leave.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Ms.
That's okay, Bill.
Hudson.
Sorry, Rob, you can go.
No, please, go ahead.
So I wrote some things down because, as some of us know, sometimes I don't speak so well off the cuff. But I wanted to say that I'm really going to miss serving alongside Bill Smith on this board. I'm really going to miss that epic sock game. For those of you not on this side of the table, Bill always sports some awesome socks. Today he's got his Scottish Highland socks on. I'll miss his energy, his dedication, his sharp attention to detail that he brings to every single matter that comes before us. I'm going to miss his leadership as a treasurer and chair of the Finance Committee. I'm going to miss serving alongside a fellow Virginia Tech Hokie. As a graduate of the best engineering school in Virginia, Bill has shared his expertise and 50 years of civil engineering experience generously with this organization. Virginia Tech has a motto that Bill exemplifies. It's called Ut Prosim, or that I may serve. Bill gave this authority 100% of his energy and his care. He served the ratepayers, both big and small. He dug into our engineering operations and helped guide improvements and a reorganization that will serve this community for years. And he served CFPUA's employees most recently by championing a 3% increase to the authority's salary pool to reward service and retain talent. Since Bill is a son of Hampton Roads, Virginia, there's one more motto worth mentioning this morning. The Virginia state motto is Sic Semper Tyrannis, thus always to tyrants. In public service, the tyrants aren't always people. They're the assumptions that nobody questions, the contract details, the minutes recording important work, or the line item everyone has stopped reading except Bill. Bill went after those things every single time, and this organization is stronger for it. I'm super proud to be a fellow alumni of Virginia Tech with Bill and to have served alongside him, and I'll really miss him. Thank you, Bill.
Mr. Chair, yeah, hold on. I think I just want to echo the comments made by Dr. Cannon and Leslie Hudson. Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure and a joy to serve with you these past 3 years, and especially as a fellow member of this board and life and the service of paying attention to detail. I've been so incredibly impressed. You find things that I don't see in there, and that's really, that's really terrific. You've done great service to this board, and I think everything you put your hand to. So thank you very much for everything you've done. And again, echoing all the other sentiments, I also am a Wahoo, or a University of Virginia grad, but I don't hold that against you at all. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda. Oh, yeah, the resolution. I'm off my game today.
Oh, motion to approve the resolution.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Next, we'll have the oath of office. Mr. Parsley, if you'll come to the podium.
Raise your right hand and read the statement.
I, Aubrey Parsley, do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position as a member of the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority.
Thank you, sir.
All right, welcome aboard, Aubrey. Next on our agenda today, will Beth and Kevin, I believe, are come to the podium to do an awards presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to lead off with a couple of awards that a few of our groups have won, and then I'm going to share the stage here with Beth for an enormous number of health and safety awards that we have earned. I'm going to start with our Peak Performance Awards. The NACWA is the National Association of Clean Water Agencies. It's one of the leading organizations in the world for stormwater and wastewater and its impact on the environment. It was formed in 1970. They are extremely involved in policy development and in working on federal funding for some of the challenges that we face. They had a heavy hand in helping to develop the regulations behind the Clean Water Act in 1972. And so the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, there's about 360 public entities. These are authorities, cities, counties that have water and wastewater and stormwater utilities. And they have a recognition program. And the Gold Award is if you have managed to comply with every single NPDES compliance test for a year. If you do that 5 years in a row, you earn the platinum. And we have, I'm proud to say that our teams have attained the Platinum Peak Performance Awards for Southside and for Northside plants. And if I could have, it's not just the operators at the plants, it's centralized maintenance that helps to maintain them, and it is also compliance that is doing the compliance testing for us. If we could please have the representatives from Northside and Southside plants come up to the front here and join us, along with folks from centralized maintenance and our compliance staff who may be here today. Please come up here and join us. And if you would, please stay up here because there are a lot of awards. And the lab, Yeah.
That is Southside. Good job, guys. Awesome. Good job. And Northside. Congratulations. You got a big
shoes to fill with that new promotion you just got.
Now, some of these same groups have also won awards that are later on the list here. And so please stay up here, folks. Please stay up here, and we'll get one picture with everybody at the same time. We also have a fancy award. This is the Design Build Excellence Award that the Design Build Institute of America Southeast Chapter awarded to our team for the South Side Project. And I'm sure it's the first of many that we will win. And if I could ask Craig Wilson, are you out there? Would you please come up? Craig actually went to the conference and received this on our behalf. It's a joint award. It's an award for the whole team. So it was Carollo and Hazen also won this award, but we got to bring home the trophy. So they got a piece of paper. So thank you guys. Thank you. And again, please stay up here with us, and we'll get a group picture. Beth.
Okay. Now, this is a large list, but we have anybody else that is here for safety awards, which is all the rest of our staff. You may have noticed there's a lot of other people here. So we got all of our collection staff, our pump station staff, the lab staff, our safety program manager, Kevin House, if y'all could all come up here, our engineering representatives, and our administration group, because our administration group also has been a part of our Department of Labor Awards ceremony. So, but in doing that, let me put my glasses on so I can actually read. So in doing that, safety has always been a priority here at CFPUA since the beginning. Kevin put together our very first safety program manuals and things. So he's been around since the beginning, and it's always been a priority. But it has evolved. So we've always looked at root causes. We always look at how to make things better. And you'll notice as we go through these awards, there's many in here that I got to get used to reading glasses because I can't see y'all, but I can see this. So anyway, so you'll notice that there's quite a few that are 17 years, 10 years, 5 years. So we'll call those all out, but it is a running improvements where we have accidents, we review them, we hold people accountable, we also look at root cause. So, and it's an organizational commitment, which you guys reinforced with a strategic plan a few years ago. It had always been an internal staff commitment, but adding that as one of our 5 pillars in the strategic plan a few years ago, I think really took it to a next level of commitment from our board and our staff as well. So the most important thing that is, we tell all of our staff, is you're your brother's keeper. You're looking out for not just your safety, you're looking out for the safety of the person next to you. And we are all, it's everybody's responsibility. And just because you work up at 235 doesn't mean that you're not susceptible to accidents. We've had some pretty severe ones at 235. Cell phone walking down the steps is not a good thing. So that is a safety issue. That's a problem. So anyway, so I don't want to belabor this anymore because we all know getting our guys home, our ladies and gentlemen home every day in the same or better condition than what they came here to is our number one priority. As well, even the number one priority even before they fix that hole, even before they fix the water line. Because if they can't do it safely, then that's the problem. And they got to have the right tools and things to do it. And they got to have the right training to do it. So the investment in them is important. And I know we all appreciate that. So we have several awards. The first I'm going to talk about is the Solid Department of Labor Award. So this is a Department of Labor Award for, who is this? Engineering. Is it engineering? Okay, it didn't say it on there. Okay, so they got a plaque this year because it is their 5th year. We have others who got plaques in the past, so it's engineering, so you can receive that. And it is an award for their 5th consecutive year of recognition of no fatalities, and our rates 50% below any of the industry averages and things for darts recordable in that. So that's they got their 5th year this past year. Our wastewater division got their 10th year, and actually that's the safety and health one. They got their 10th year. These are in the wrong order. So anyway, there's also the SHARP Awards, but let's go to the Department of Labor silver certificates and the incidents. So the silver certificates, we got water and sewer construction. I apologize. So water and sewer construction, where we got Zach, these behind me. These guys, they're not construction. They didn't show up. Anyway, we will take it to them. They're out working and working safely. Our collections and maintenance, that's that. So, and this is their first year. This is the first year in the history of CFPUA that everybody in every group, and we do this by functional group because that's where we manage them, qualified for the Department of Labor group. Even though we got some that's been in it for 17 years, this is the first year that everybody qualified. So construction and collections, Northside Water Reclamation Facility, this is first year of silver certification as well. Meter services over here. So, and it's their first year. We have the gold certificates, which is, again, it's a higher level, longer term, as well as even lower below the industry averages for our DART rates. And it's with no days away restricted or transferred, not just no recordables. So the silver is no recordables. The other is at next level. So Southside is their first year in the gold. And it's the Southside Wastewater Treatment Plant. And Sweeney Water Treatment Plant is their first year in the gold. Where's our Sweeney folks? Behind here. So pump station maintenance, it's the first year in gold. Pump station. Give it to Colin.
Centralized maintenance.
Yep, centralized maintenance, 3rd consecutive year in gold. Administrative services, which is all of our groups, HR, finance, everybody up, engineering, everybody at 235. It is their 5th consecutive year, which you got the plaque. Environmental management, it's their, and the laboratory services, it is their 6th year in gold. Customer service, it's a 6th year in gold. You got customer service? Customer service. So, okay. So, and the two that we have that are 17 consecutive years of the gold certificate is environmental management, community compliance, Brock over there, and the Richardson, Allen back here behind. You got so our Richard Water Treatment Plant. So those are 17 consecutive years in the gold, which is that next level of performance. So the other thing that we do is we participate in the Department of Labor, OSHA's Safety and Health Achievement and Recognition Program. And what that is we voluntarily ask for OSHA to come into our facilities and review not just our rates, not just our OSHA performance and our safety and accidents. We ask them to look at the health protocols and things that we have as well. So, and they go through them with a fine-tooth comb. They sit down and go through all of our policies and procedures. Kevin spends quite a bit of time with them, between Kevin and Tara. And they do a pretty good audit, because when they're awarding this program, whenever they give these awards, we have flags and different things as well. They want to ensure that we're actually doing what we say. We have it all written down. We have the policies and procedures, but we're actually implementing them as well. And that, as well as looking at our rates. And there's a whole list of criteria, not just that you have the policies and procedures, but your performance is indicative of how well you're performing as well. So we have 6 facilities that are SHARP recognized facilities, which are the Environmental Management and Laboratory, Northside Water Reclamation Facility, Sweeney Water Treatment Plant, Administration, Northside, Southside, and Nano. Yes, it wasn't on the list. And with that, we have Northside. I knew there was one that was
Already handed.
you handed it to
Yes.
him. Okay.
Yes.
We have Northside that has their first 10-year SHARP award. So as far as, they were the first program at CFPUA to apply for a SHARP and receive it, and they have maintained it the entire 10 years. Richardson was next, so, and it's actually been longer than 10 years, but OSHA just gave them the award, their plaque. So anyway, there's a lot of great work, and I'm sorry for the confusion between me being able to read and getting used to wearing reading glasses. Don't remember this as y'all's last impression of me when I leave. But anyway, so these guys have done a great job, and like I said, safety is everybody's responsibility, and that commitment starts at the top, and that starts with you guys, and we really appreciate that investment, and I know all of our staff does as well. So thank you very much.
We just need everyone to kind of scooch in front of the flags. We'll get a quick picture. Let everyone out of here.
While they're taking a picture, I want to take a moment of personal privilege to thank Beth and Kevin for organizing this recognition of staff. We're extremely proud of the work that they do every day in service of our customers and our community and each other. Well done, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to do that.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
That's great.
All right, next on our agenda, we just need a motion to adopt the agenda for today. All in favor? Aye. With that, Dr. Cannon take approve the minutes from last
We
meeting.
have the minutes from our seemingly months ago last meeting in June available. And if there's no comment, I would move that we approve the minutes.
Madam Chair, there is one comment I had there, and I brought it up, I guess it was finance, but I think it's worth for the whole board just to have a brief review of the LGC meeting that we had, because it affects everything that we do as an authority. Ken, or if you want to handle that,
Well-
the meeting with the LGC.
Yes, so briefly, you may recall part of our strategy in managing rates, fees, and charges is to acquire funding at the lowest possible cost. And as part of that strategy, we worked with the Local Government Commission to be one of the first, if not the first, authorities to receive permission to not only issue bonds, but defer issuance of those bonds until we'd expended all other funds. Normally, we'd have to go right to the bond market after approval by the LGC to secure bond funding. And then, of course, we're going to have to pay for that earlier than we would otherwise have to. So like other local governments, we would like to defer issuance of bonds until we spend all funds down. And that'll give our finance team some opportunity to look for the best time frame within the next year or two. I believe we deferred the bond issuance from September of this year to as late as February of 28. So this is all part of our strategy to minimize rate increases going forward.
Can I also categorize it as really good news for us as an organization? Yeah.
It certainly reflects the confidence that the Local Government Commission has in this organization and in your work.
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
All righty. We need a motion to adopt, to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve?
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments? No comments. With that, we've got several items on the consent agenda for discussion or motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just put a highlight on item number E. That's the construction of the Richardson Biogrowth Removal Project, only to just put a marker on it for all of our board members. To me, it has a lot to do with, the excessive heat that we are seeing year over year, but also it's something that could affect our entire system. And indeed, the amount of money we're putting into this one project, $3.4 million, indicates the seriousness of it. So I just wanted to make that comment, kind of pulling it out of all the capital improvement projects we're working on. It's something to keep a real eye on to see if it continues or if we see it throughout the system. That's all.
Any other?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, move on to new business. Attorney's report, Nicolette?
Thank you. No report for open session. However, I will have 2 items for closed session to maintain attorney-client privilege. The first being Town of Wrightsville Beach versus Comores, and the second being CFPUA versus Comores.
Okay. Thank you. Move on to Executive Director's report. Mr. Waldrop.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, Board, we have before you the key indicators report, the safety report, the environmental report, the strategic plan update, and this month we also have the quarterly CIP update. Are there any questions from board members on any items within those reports?
Ms. Apple.
Mr. Chair, in the key indicators report, the development services on my page 81, this is a question that's coming from another committee that I sit on, the Inspections Department Advisory Commission. And it's a broader issue. I just wanted to bring it to attention to this board. Oh, thanks, Eric. Yeah. Do we need as an organization to look at all of the applications, building applications that come across our door or the county's door? This is, it seems to come up in cycle after cycle, and we talk about it and very little gets done. It is a real stone in the shoe for a lot of developers and builders. Everything that comes into the county has to come through CFPUA, and it creates a bottleneck and adding time to getting permits issued. And I'll let you be the judge of it, of course, but there seems like there are multiple reasons why we don't need to look at some permits, and yet that doesn't seem to be taken off there, and so it's just a volume issue. For instance, if you're doing a remodel of an existing home, and if you're doing some change outs in electrical and some framing, doesn't seem to be a need for CFPUA to add it to their list of things that needs to be checked off on. And this has become a growing issue. I know we've gone at it before, but it came up again yesterday in that committee meeting, the IDAC meeting. Maybe something we can handle offline again, but I just wanted to put it on or in a separate committee report because I recognize it's a large issue. But it just seems like we ought to be able to do something about it.
If I might, and with Chair Hackney's permission, we'll bring that as an item before long-range planning to have staff report on the business process and discuss any opportunities to improve that business process.
And I'll put a highlight on it in the key indicators report. I believe, again, on page 81, there's a little yellow box that indicates that at least 1/3 of the applications are, it does not seem from that reading of that, are necessary to come through CFPUA.
Thank you, sir. As you sit on that committee, you'll be able to carry those questions forward. So with your permission, committee member, Chair Hackney will bring that forward to your committee at the earliest possible. So.
Great. Thank you. Also, maybe this is a question for John, the 12-month rolling debt service coverage on page 82 and the days cash on hand on page 83, just intuitively, it seems like that they should be working somewhat in tandem, and they seem to be diverging. Could you briefly explain why they're not working in tandem?
Sure. The debt service coverage, the reason why it is going up the way it has, kind of to such an extreme and outside of our normal targets, that 1.6 to 1.8, is because of the payments from Wrightsville Beach for the consolidation, and then also some settlement proceeds that we've gotten this year.
Got it.
The debt service coverage is kind of really I would call it like an income statement measure. It's a flows measure, right? We're talking about net revenues, and we're talking about how that compares to debt service over time. As far as the days cash on hand, that's looking at cash position as of a specific day, right? You do kind of see that number go up over that same period. Now, this last dip over this last month from the 399 to the 377 does look a little interesting to me. I'd have to go back and investigate that. But I think overall, you are exactly right. The two numbers should have a relationship there, and they have trended upward, kind of in the same level of magnitude. But let me take that back, and I'll provide you an answer of exactly why it went down from that 399 to the 377, despite the days cash on hand increasing from last month.
Thank you very much. Also, the residential disconnections, I neglected to put the page down. It's in there, but it seems, by looking at it, to be up substantially. And the question I have, is this an indicator of people not being able to pay their bills? It just seems historically, if we look back at June 24 and June 25, substantially lower rates of disconnection. It seems like there's been a jump. Any thinking on our part, or is there something behind that?
So I know that what could be at play here, so what we're talking about is, this is about, you're talking about a little bit above 0.8% of our residential customers, so less than 1% of our residential customers are subject to disconnection each month, right? It's about the same number as in March 2024, but yeah, it has dipped and then come back up, maybe kind of come back down and stabilized around that 0.8. I know what could be at play here is we had undertaken a campaign to start directly calling our customers on Mondays who were in danger of getting disconnected on Tuesday. Now, obviously, that's a huge resource sink, right? And I think what we kind of found was, there's a couple things at play, is kind of like a human behavior thing. We have a lot of communication that goes out. We have robocalls, multiple robocalls that go out. We send letters. I think what we kind of found is doing those calls on the Monday before became customers' primary trigger to pay. And so it was kind of like, well, is that the best practice? Because that kind of maybe obligates us to dedicate the resources to directly calling customers. And then I think the other thing there too is just from a staffing standpoint, we've had some turnover in the call center. It takes a lot of time and a lot of investment to train up our CSAs. A really tough job. They have to know a lot about a lot of things. And so I think we felt that we did not have really the bandwidth over the past year to continue to dedicate to making those calls. So that is my guess on what's kind of caused that downward kind of trend that you see back in maybe August or September of '24, and then kind of coming back up. Long story short, in terms of the 0.8, I think that's a really healthy number. We did some benchmarking not too long ago. I think it was part of the budget retreat. So back in January, against some of the larger utilities in the state, and they generally have disconnection percentages north of 1% of their residential customer base. So having that percentage be under 1% at that 0.88%, we still feel really good about that.
Thank you, John.
I wouldn't say we feel good about putting out anybody's block.
I would say compared to our peers, we feel good about the comparison.
Yeah, I'd characterize what you're seeing is we've changed some of the engagement activities, and you can obviously see it. And as staff, we agree that we don't want to cut anybody off. We don't want one cut off. It's unfortunately part of the business. I think we are fortunate as a community that our numbers are relatively low compared to our peers, and we're going to do the work necessary to drive them even lower.
Mr. Chair? Yes. To the extent possible, if we really do think this uptick is related to such a simple thing as a Monday phone call, can we attempt to remedy that within the parameters of boosting training and maybe onboarding people a little more quickly? I mean, it just seems like such a simple fix, so I hope that.
We'll revisit it at a staff
If
level
that-
and
if that's what we
give
really
you
figure.
some feedback.
I mean, it may be partly due to that, but it may not. So to the extent it is, though, I think we should really try to address it. The other little request I have is just a technical one. Is there a way we can tweak the visuals on this graphic so that the entire number of disconnects, the white digits, can fit within that bar? Do you guys know what I mean? Just like, all you have to do is make them a little wider and maybe make the margins a little narrow. Anyway, that's just a little.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question? Do we track repeat disconnects like the? So my thinking of this is like, maybe you call somebody the first time they're going to disconnect on Monday and give them the treatment, the extra help, but that is followed by coaching that says, no, from now on, we're not going to be calling you every Monday. If it's the same person every week, knows that they're going to get called Monday, they're going to wait until last minute. Anyway, just.
There is some of that in the data. Again, let us take this feedback and we'll go back and revisit this issue. We obviously are seeing some customer behavior changes based off of our interactions, or we think based off of our interactions. Let's give you some analysis of that maybe in a weekly update.
If I could continue, thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the environmental report, I noted the SSO, of which we only had one. It was a gravity main collapse at 800 South Kerr. I'm familiar with the area there, and I believe it's the parking lot of one of the local breweries that's there. And I've just noticed this is a point of concern. They've kind of expanded the lot. It's a gravel parking lot. And I'm wondering if it had anything to do with the collapse, because it's a little unusual for a gravity main to collapse unless it was, 100 years old or some other reasoning behind it, but it caught my attention.
Well, on the surface, that's not that could be a contributing factor.
Yeah.
But it's actually sadly not uncommon for gravity sewer mains to collapse short of their normal life. There could be an installation issue. We share the right-of-way with other utilities. Quite often, those other utilities are disturbing our infrastructure. We could have corrosive wastewater. We have poor materials. I looked out in the audience, and knowledgeable staff gave me the sign that this was likely not the issue that you raised, but one of these other issues that I laid out. And this is why we have asset assessment and repair projects and programs.
So is this something like the third base coach?
Yeah, exactly like that.
To the batter, to
Yeah.
bunt or whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation and excuse me, the last thought I had was on the safety report. I noted under the employee injuries, the way it's written, I'm sure it's a little confusing. It looks like the barbed wire reached out and hit the employee. And the second one is being shocked by a faucet in the break room of the, I guess, 235. Could we have further detail on either? They seem a little bizarre.
Well, I can probably safely assume that the barbed wire did not jump out and grab somebody, but we will get a better detail of both of those incidents.
That is our collection and maintenance group, who is out doing O&M, and they're out in the field with right-of-ways and things like that. So they are mowing, they are out clearing, weed eating and different things. So there's opportunities whenever they don't see something that's underground or something. Same thing with the wasp. If they're mowing and it disturbs a wasp kind of thing. So so it came up and hit them in the face. So the sink, that has, from our understanding, we took it offline. Nobody, it's not plugged in anymore, but it was related to a inline hot water heater that had been installed. And we had, even the people that came in replaced it and took care of it. They didn't see an issue, but at the same time, that's what they think it was related to.
So faulty grounding on the sink, and an employee brushed up against barbed wire while he was trying to avoid it.
Great. I've installed many of those hot water things. I've never heard of that happening, and frankly, I always thought that there was safety measures within it to not have that. It's a very bizarre situation. Did the vendor have any explanation, and are we to expect something like that again?
I would have to ask our project management team that dealt with the project, and I don't believe John Kapitsky is here. So I think we can get you an answer to that and send it back to you if you don't mind.
We'll add that as a weekly update item.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Now we'll move on to committee reports. Executive committee met this Monday, August 10th. We have one item, which is the amendment to the authority bylaws. Nicolette?
So thank you. The amendment to the authority bylaws, this is for two purposes. The first is to align our bylaws with the articles of incorporation that were amended last year. Amending our bylaws does not require consent by both the city and the county. This is an internal process only. That consensus, bringing the two together, is by eliminating the term limit on the executive committee membership. So removing that last sentence. And reviewing the bylaws had not been reviewed since 2013. I did note some housekeeping clarification matters as well. So if you would give me the privilege, I'd like to go line by line with what those changes will be. It only affects 2 sections of the bylaws. The first is Section 3.8, which deals with Robert's Rules of Order. In our bylaws, from the 2008 version, we said that we would conduct our business under the Rules of Parliamentary Procedure in Robert's Rules of Order, 10th edition. That was published in the year 2000. The most recent edition is the 12th edition, which was published in 2020. One of the primary changes made in there is it incorporates rules for modern-day meetings, Teams meetings, Zoom meetings, and how to incorporate parliamentary procedure for those types of meetings. None of that is covered in the 10th edition. That is the sole change to Section 3.8, is just changing to the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order. Section 4.2. This one had a number of small changes, but they are significant in that they align with our actual practices. In the first sentence, it said that the authority shall, at its first regular July meeting, appoint and elect its officers. For at least since I've been here, we have not had a July meeting. I made the change to the first regular meeting of each fiscal year, just to align that with our common practices. So if our first meeting of the fiscal year is July, that's all well and good, but if it's August, we are not in violation of our bylaws. The second change was, I noticed that within the bylaws, it said that the chair and vice chair cannot be appointed by the same participating political subdivision. For 10 of you, that is not an issue. However, for the joint appointee, they are appointed by both the city and the county. And we have an extraordinary resource in Wes that, providing that clarification with an exception saying that this does not apply to the joint appointee, will eliminate that being an issue in the future. It has not been raised as an issue presently, but it eliminates and clarifies that issue moving forward. And then finally, eliminating the sentence that said no elected officer can serve more than 3 years within its position. That is to align with our changes to the Articles of Incorporation regarding the term limits. Are there any questions? I know I have a tendency of speaking fast sometimes.
I have a question. Does the change to Robert's rules allow us to have Zoom meetings going forward?
It does
For
not,
committees?
because North Carolina general statutes supersede Robert's rules. And under North Carolina law, we cannot have remote meetings, virtual meetings, unless there's a declared state of emergency. Any other questions?
Can you run back through that third point about the elected officers?
The part where we took out the no more than 3 part. So in this situation, the sentence stated previously that an elected officer cannot serve in the same role for more than 3 consecutive years. And in that case, Dr. Cannon has served as secretary for 3 years. So she would not be eligible for reappointment as secretary moving forward. It allows the board that flexibility moving forward if there is a member that is willing and able to serve in that role and continue serving in that role to do so. That was the flexibility that we also wanted within the Articles of Incorporation change, that if there is a member that is willing to serve, able to serve, and is wanting to be reappointed and would be really appointed, to allow that flexibility to continue by removing that same term limit.
Thank you.
We have posted this proposed amendment with the written notice that is required by statute. It will be going before you as a vote at the September board meeting. Today, you just see the adopted and revised version in your minutes as an informational item. If you do have any questions in the interim, please feel free to contact me and let me know if you do.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to Long Range Planning Committee.
Long Range Planning did not meet last month, so there is nothing in the packet.
No, this. Sorry.
Long Range Planning did not
Yep.
meet.
All right, we'll move on to Finance Committee.
I'll take that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Finance met August 5th. The meeting minutes are in the packet along with the monthly financials. Any questions? John?
Good morning. Just wanted to run through some preliminary year-end numbers, full-year numbers for FY26. Specifically in terms of the unassigned fund balance, that's a topic that we've been talking about of late for several reasons, talking about moving the target up to something different. I'll try to keep it simple, but go into a little detail for Mr. Parsley, just for his understanding. But what this unassigned fund balance is, this is just our net budgetary resources, so assets minus our liabilities on a budgetary basis, on a modified accrual basis, that aren't assigned for something else. So to pay debt, pay for our capital projects, pay for OPEB, those types of things. So these are our net unassigned budgetary resources. And there's a trade-off on what number we should shoot for here, right? So on the one end, the higher the better, right? It looks better to the rating agencies. We're more protected from risk, right? The higher that number goes. Well, at the same time, it's like, well, in order to accumulate that high level of resources, we would have to charge it through rates, or there would be a trade-off of us choosing to sit on it rather than deploy it someplace else, right? So in essence, taking money from our ratepayers, from the community prior to when we may really need it, right? So the key for us is to just strike the balance, right? And that in policy is a responsibility of the finance officer, me. What the policy says is we try to consistently, continuously look at the environment, look at feedback from the rating agencies, look at these various factors in order to know what that appropriate balance is, right? So back in 2017, we had set an unassigned fund balance target of $50 million. There have been some factors over the past 10 years, and then certainly recently, that have caused us to think that number needs to be higher. One thing is just some natural deterioration or decay or dilution of our days cash on hand that just comes over time of our expenditures going up. Inflationary pressures, different things, right? And so that days cash on hand is, leaving this number static just dilutes, right? Now that's especially important for us because we're about to, at some point over the next year and a half, is do a relatively large bond issuance. At least that's the plan at this point. So it's very important that we maintain our current credit rating. The other factor recently is really more of a cash flow risk. While it's very, very good news that we've received all these SRF loans and all this grant funding, those are recouped on a reimbursement basis. And so when you're talking about multiple large projects going on at any one time, and kind of I won't say a checkered history, but what I'll say is an uncertain pattern from DEQ in reimbursing us and the turnaround time for those reimbursements, right? That really presents a very large cash flow risk for us. So that's another reason to kind of take that up. So we put some projections together based on our 10-year rate model, and moving that $50 million target to something more like 65 or 70 million. And there's a range there because there's a level of uncertainty in a 10-year projection, right? But that's kind of a sweet spot that we think is appropriate. So let's just say that this high-end number of the range of 70 million, which is probably what I'll be recommending when I bring this back formally once the audit's done. Let's say it's $70 million. If this number stands, and it should be something that approximates that, we're still recording expenditures, back to close out the end of the fiscal year. But what that would imply is a $6 million surplus, right? And then there's a policy that covers that talks about how we can use that. That's a one-time revenue source, and what we don't want to do is have it fund recurring expenditures, right? Something that's often brought up is, hey, let's take some of this money or the surplus and let's defer a rate increase. Well, okay, that's fine for 1 year, leaving rates flat, but that means that the increase has to be even more once that funding source runs out, right? So what we generally do, and what the policy provides for, is that we pay off debt early. We stick it in a capital reserve to avoid the issuance of debt where we otherwise would have had to supplement our OPEB reserve that pays our retirees their healthcare benefits, those types of things, that avoids kind of structural rate pressure on our ratepayers, right? So if we can pay down debt early, well, that's a debt service requirement that gets off the books for the next 25 years, right? So that's kind of how that whole interplay between the fund balance and then when we have a surplus, how that all works. So just wanted to explain that and just say that, yeah, $70 million, what it's looking like is maybe a $6 million surplus.
When was the $50 million limit set?
That was back in 2017. So at that time, we were looking at an unassigned fund balance of around 120 million. And that was the reason why we took a deep dive into this policy and kind of right-sizing that fund balance number.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I would note that we're going to bring this to finance, and finance will have an opportunity to revisit this conversation, the policies that we have in place, and talk about, all right, what would we recommend to the full board to do with anything above and beyond the reserve number that our finance officer thinks we should hold. One of the things I always like to remind our board about is visuals, and this has a visualization to our public. They're looking at it going, what are you doing with $76 million? And the best I can respond to the public is say, well, you have essentially $6.5 billion worth of infrastructure. So we're holding less than 2%.
And it's actually more than that based on...
That's the latest number we've shared with the board. We've got new numbers.
Suggests $8 billion.
$8 billion, okay. So we just let the cat out of the bag. But $8 billion of infrastructure, which means it's way less than 2%, probably 1% of your replacement cost new for your infrastructure we're holding in that undesignated reserves. So I'm trying to help the customer understand why you need to have reserves at all and why we are keeping 50, 60, or 70 million. That's part of our job. You help us do that job by telling us who we need to go talk to help them understand that reality.
Mr. Chair, John, before you leave, can you just give us a very brief explanation about the, I think it's like 2 slides down, it's on the SDCs, or I guess you now call them SDFs, System Development Fees. I know that for the past year, they've been lagging, and now we've seen them actually come up and exceed, the targets. So why, and how does this tie in with the unassigned, or could you give a brief explanation as to why it's happening?
Sure. So the answer to your first question is very simply is that we've moved the target down, right? So every year with the budget, right, we look at more recent history. Every year that happens, a year looks crazy, 2 years, okay, something's going on, 3 years is a trend, right? So, we've, I guess, maybe learned our lesson, right? And what the behavior suggests is that development's been down versus 3 years ago, right? So we've simply just edited our forecast down, and so we missed a little too low, I guess, or a little too high, right? So that's the answer to your first question. How SDCs factor into fund balance and rates. Okay, our big rate equation takes our total budget, right? The operating budget this year is what around 140 million, right? The first thing we do, what we do is we set our revenues equal to our expenditures, right? Not for profit, we try to break even, right? That's at least from a structural standpoint. So the first thing we do is we set the fixed charge, and that recovers our debt service, right? And then after that, what we do is what's left over after that is going to be recovered by the volumetric charge. Now we have these other revenue sources, such as system development fees, our investment earnings, our other kind of penalties and fees, that kind of stuff, right? And what those other revenues do is they just decrease the volumetric rate requirement or revenue requirement. So the amount of revenue that needs to be made up by the volumetric rate revenue, okay? Long-winded answer for saying that what SDCs do or what SDFs do is they result in a lower volumetric rate than you otherwise would have. So if we were to take these SDFs and then carve them out and say these are dedicated to a capital reserve or something like that, that means that would have an impact on your volumetric rates and cause them to go up a little bit.
So the light blue bar on there was reset on July 1st.
That's correct.
So this is the first report that we've had since we didn't meet in July where we've seen this reflected.
Oh, I'm sorry. So July 1 of 2025. So these were the projections for FY26. So these are July 25 through 26 fiscal year projected numbers, and these are the actual counts. Translate those ERU units of SDF's charge into revenue. That's what it looks like here. Okay, now we only have 1 month under our belt.
Right.
We will start reporting on the new fiscal year FY27 next month.
Next month. Thank you.
Or maybe 2 months from now. Maybe 2 months from now.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I think what you're expressing is, all right, how do we keep our finger on the pulse of certain revenue streams, including SDFs? And I've got some thoughts on it, but I'd prefer to have those offline or in committee. It's a complex topic.
Thank you, Ken. That's exactly what was behind that. I appreciate your thoughts.
Sorry I didn't answer your question.
No, fantastic job. Fantastic job.
Thanks, John. All right, we'll move on to Sustainability Committee. Dr. Cannon.
Yes, today we have a report from our last meeting. Essentially, I know we're kind of pushed for time, but I think it's pretty short. For newer members and people who were not around, in 2022, the board adopted a goal of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions by 43% by the year 2030, sort of in line with what most groups were doing. Part of that depended on Duke's decarbonization plan, which since then has changed. So part of our savings was due to the electricity we were buying. Well, that has changed. So our original goal is not really attainable anymore. So we wanted to make sure that our internal and external messaging is consistent with what we can actually control. Sorry, I got kind of a loud voice, but so we've amended our plans to go along with that. The other headwind we have, if you were, is we're now building a big, new, beautiful wastewater treatment plant. And it is going to be incredibly more, it's going to yield cleaner products than our existing plant, but it's much more expensive in terms of emissions and in terms of the electricity we use. So it's a double-edged sword, but Beth's going to essentially summarize our plan. And if you all agree with us from the committee, then we'll adopt that today. Thanks.
I'm here. Holly Piero is our sustainability program manager. She's in Leadership Wilmington today, so I am filling in for her. And y'all know Matt. He is over sustainability and everything now. They moved to him over this last year. And I'm going to skip the first page because you covered that very well. So these are our goals on slide 2. She covered the goal that we set in 2021. It was to achieve that 43% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions measured in metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents per million gallon of wastewater treated using 2019 data as a baseline year. So as I previously stated, it was intended to be the goal, which I didn't state that, you did. It was intended to be an aspirational goal that we set back then, but it was still achievable based on Duke's commitments and our own commitments internally to reduce our energy usage and our emissions, and their commitment to their emission factors, reductions in their emission factors. So what we found is that the largest impact, approximately 30% of the needed reductions, of our needed reductions to achieve that goal, were tied to Duke's stated commitment at the time. So therefore, a large part of it was not within our control. In 2025, Duke extended their timeline for achieving their goals, thus impacting CFPUA's strategy for achieving our goal. So over time, staff has worked with Sustainability Committee to evaluate the feasibility and what was in our control to achieve those goals. So it was quickly identified that we needed to focus on what CFPUA had control over, not what an external party was their changes that they were making. So after a lot of engagement with staff across the organization, creation of an energy action plan, and multiple meetings with our sustainability committee, staff recommended 2 sustainability goals. Both goals are used in the normalization of measuring total emissions and energy per million gallons of wastewater treated, and the established 2019 calendar year as the baseline for the goal comparison. So goal 1 is sticking with the reduction in emissions, so it's reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 11% between 2019 and 2030. And goal 2 is to limit the increase in electricity usage to no more than 7% by 2030. So this approach accounts for population and infrastructure growth while still challenging staff to continue to look for ways to improve efficiencies, resiliency, emissions, and energy reductions. So why do we still have an emissions goal? The original goal was an emissions goal. It was to reduce that emissions, and maintaining this type of goal provides for some consistency over time with the comparisons. Greenhouse gas emissions also provide an important metric as they offer a comprehensive review of CFPUA's operational climate impacts and are consistent with other high-performing utilities across the country. So adding an electricity goal provides additional value because Duke's emission factors can significantly influence our greenhouse gas emissions. Again, not in our control, but the overall, the energy, to some degree, energy usage can be managed. So water and wastewater, as Dr. Cannon said, is inherently energy intensive in all of the processes to treat the wastewater and water. So tracking electricity provides a more direct measure of operational efficiency, the impact of internal energy management efforts by staff, and can help guide decisions and engage innovative thinking to drive reductions, which also drives cost control and savings. So, it's very complicated looking, right?
Can you just touch on the normalization piece again? And how, obviously, with our population growth, that it presents a double challenge. And we spent a lot of time on this discussion in committee, and it was really informative for me.
Yes. We chose back in 2021, which is somewhat consistent with what other utilities do, is to normalize on the basis of the wastewater, because you get it takes into account all of the energy from the water, the pump stations, all of the energy that's used at transmitting and treating for both, but that wastewater takes into account population growth that we have to deliver and treat throughout that system, and we normalize it by the per million gallon treated. So it normalizes it to account for each gallon, not a totality kind of thing. So for if we add a bunch of customers, they increase the wastewater, it's still comparable to what we're doing and reflects the improvements that we're doing. Okay, so these graphs illustrate greenhouse gas emissions and energy use from 2019 to 2025, as well as projections for 2030. Let me explain the graphs before you. From left to right, the first graph reflects emission levels, which are measured again in metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents per million gallon wastewater treated. The blue line is the trend line of emissions between 2019 and 2025. The gray dotted line is a projection of emissions with no further investments or actions, and an emission level of 4.44 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents per million gallon of wastewater treated, which reflects a 8.5% reduction. The green line on the same graph reflects the emission level of 4.32 metric tons of CO2 equivalents per million gallon treated, and the recommended 11% reduction goal, which is dependent upon continuing with planned investments and additional funding for new projects to drive towards the goal. The second graph reflects the same format, but it's energy usage. And as Dr. Cannon said, energy usage is going to increase, mostly because of the energy-intensive technology at the new south side wastewater treatment plant and regarding with growth and expansion. So we are on track to increase to 13.4% compared to the baseline of 2019, with continued planned investments and additional funding for new projects. We can limit that increase to approximately 7%. So we all know energy rates will increase. A commitment to managing usage where possible will help to control increases in energy dollars spent now and into the future. In today's dollars and rates, just accounting for projected flows, 2030 represents a potential increase in 42% in annual energy cost to continue to serve our customers. So, collaborating with a cross-functional team throughout the organization, the sustainability team has identified strategies and actions that will help drive progress towards achieving these goals. These strategies and improvements are within our control, and they will be challenging, not only reduce emissions, but manage energy usage and thus cost. So, a number of the strategies aimed towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions and energy use have been identified. However, achieving these targets and continuing to build upon them over time will require additional investment in infrastructure. Based on historic project cost per metric ton of CO2 equivalents reduced and cost per kilowatt hour saved, staff is estimating further investment of up to $1 million that will be needed between fiscal year 27 and fiscal year 28 to meet these goals. When comparing these years in the planned capital budget projections from the 10-year CIP developed in the fall of 2025, it represents approximately 1% of the sum of those years that you see up there now. That little chart is an excerpt from the 2025 projections from the CIP plan that was presented in fall of 25 and approved by you guys last year. So, and the investments, we pulled out those years because any investments and improvements that are made in order for those reductions and improvements to be accounted for in the calculation for 2030. They have to be implemented by 2028 and 2029. So that's why we pulled out those 3 years. So approval of the proposed goals would establish the expectation that staff would include up to $1 million in additional funding in next year's capital planning process. The specific projects and associated funding would then be presented to the board through the normal capital plan and budget review process. This investment will be reflected in improving the sustainability, energy usage, and resiliency of planned projects, the prioritization of new projects, and the combination of many win-win opportunities within both the CIP and operating budgets. As we move forward, the sustainability team, in conjunction with our operations and engineering teams, will continue researching and evaluating new opportunities as we implement and further refine the Energy Action Plan and reinstate our energy management team as a reporting cross-functional management review board within the management system. As always, the best ideas come from those that work closest to it. So engaging the engineering staff as well as our operational staff, we're going to lead to the best ideas. So at this time, which probably why you guessed why I'm here today, is as we continue to provide excellent water and sewer services to our community, advancing these initiatives and establishing updated goals will provide clear direction and accountability to staff on the expectations from the board. So on July 28th, your sustainability committee met and they approved the 2 proposed goals along with a commitment for up to $1 million of additional investment to help drive this energy usage and emissions towards the goals that we are setting. So I'm here today as staff is requesting the full board approve your committee's recommendations to approve these commitments and goals.
Madam Chair, do we have the ability to quantify what the limitation or the reduction in the energy usage saves us?
In terms of money?
Yes.
I don't know if we have that, yeah.
I mean, you would be, because energy
I would
savings
think that we
equates to
would.
money.
I mean, I'm just talking about the ROI that is beyond
Yes.
just the pro-social component of what we're talking about. I think it's important to be able to demonstrate that part of the savings is derived from the reduction in the energy cost, right?
Absolutely.
We're spending $1 million.
Yes.
But we're saving on energy. So while, of course, we do want sustainability for any number of reasons, I think it's important for us to also emphasize that part of what we're trying to do here, thank you, sir, is to save money.
For sure.
In our operations. So I don't know if we have that information, but it would be, I think, valuable to have that information.
When we ask the committee to spend money, we're going to show you.
Okay.
So none of this $1 million is spent yet. It's not even planned for exactly. But what did you want to say, Beth? Say it.
I was going to say, this right here, and I think you have this, but the total energy cost for 2025 was $3.6 million.
Right.
That already reflects a 30% increase in dollars that were spent over what was spent in 2019. And so whenever you account for the per million gallons that were treated then versus then, and then you just account for the flow projections out here, it projects that we will have an additional 7%, which is where we got that 42% increase in dollars. This is not megawatt hours or anything, but this is projected dollars just accounting for flow increases to growth. It does not account for any rate increases that Duke Energy is going to have between now and then. So yes, that's just kind of a high level, but we only know what is here and what rate increases we've experienced then. And it's already a 36% increase in dollars.
Right, and I think that that's important, and I want to commend the committee for recognizing that this is in some ways a moving target. You can have the best of aspirations, but there are externalities that are sometimes beyond your ability to achieve whatever your ideal goals are. So being willing to go back and revise and say, here's perhaps a more realistic goal is important. And perhaps that in and of itself may still be aspirational, but we want to charge this body with being conscious about the way that we conduct our business in a variety of both environmental and cost burden perspectives. So thank you for doing that work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for people who also weren't around back when all the discussions were happening, obviously the cheapest kilowatt hour you can save is the one you don't use. So we are constantly, and we don't talk about that up here very often, but we're constantly as an organization looking for ways to just not burn energy, to save our ratepayers money by being more efficient. And that's a big part. It's just built into what we do. As a matter of fact, we're even going to have a little contest looking for staff over the next year who can come up with clever ideas and maybe set up a reward system, because obviously that's the first goal, is stop burning as much. But we are an energy-intensive business. There's no way to clean wastewater without. So, but yeah, appreciate that, Beth. Thanks for walking us through it. I think we need a motion to adopt our new. Yep.
Just in committee, Commissioner Scalise, every project is reviewed individually, and that's where the dollar and the ROI is evaluated, which is sort of interesting because sometimes there's other reasons to do a project. For example, like the chiller replacement that you'll probably hear about in another committee, they have to replace it anyway. So it's, minimal investment to do it a little bit better and save electricity. So there's always different reasons that we're hearing from staff, and the math is always presented with it. To show the dollar savings, but it's on a project-by-project basis that we generally see it.
Motion to approve the recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's our last item on our agenda under committee reports is our nominations committee. Nominations committee met on July 22nd. I think everybody has the recommendations from that committee. Nicolette?
So yes, thank you, Chairman. With that, the nominations committee had made the proposed slate of Mr. Quarter to continue as chair, Ms. Adams to serve as vice chair, Dr. Cannon to continue to serve as secretary, and Mr. Hackney to serve as treasurer. With that, Dr. Cannon would be able to remain as interim secretary until the bylaws are amended, if the slate is voted upon and approved.
Motion to approve the slate.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So with that, good.
We need a motion to go into closed session to maintain
Second.
attorney-client privilege for Town of Wrightsville Beach versus Comores and CFPUA versus Comores. Mr. Tribbett, Ms. Eckert, Mr. Morris, Mr. McLean, Ms. Faircloth, Ms. Fletcher,